In this video, we'll be talking about natal moon and Scorpio in the 5th house and what this placement means for you when it is in your birth chart. So what the moon represents in astrology is it represents emotional needs and emotional fulfillment and what gives us security. And when it is in Scorpio, it is debilitated because Scorpio is about desires, lack, and complex psychological situations. So a lot of times when the moon is in Scorpio, it shows that in our upbringing we learned unhealthy coping mechanisms or forms of security or like forms of relating to others, especially in a living sense or in a sense of what makes us feel comfortable or in a sense of how we get our needs met, because a lot of times our needs were not met when we have the moon in Scorpio. And also it shows an aspect that we're constantly seeking or that we never feel satiated by. And this could come just from the upbringing, or this could just be a psychological trait of the individual. Sometimes it could just be somebody that naturally has really strong desires or needs, and so the parents did not have enough to offer to satiate those needs. So finally, this shows somebody that's emotionally convinced, because Scorpio is a fixed water sign. Fixed signs are about a constant way of being. Water is about emotion or feeling. So moon in Scorpio shows somebody who constantly feels a certain way, and they cannot be convinced otherwise. And they're very convincing themselves. They can convince others of their perception or way of seeing things, a lot of times subconsciously or even super consciously. So what I mean by super consciously is I mean that they can overpower other people's beliefs with their own, especially in the context of a relationship. And this can take the form of what feels like gaslighting or what can literally be gaslighting. Because with Scorpio moon, I feel like these individuals all have this ability to abuse their power, but not all of them do use that, because there are always consequences to psychologically overpowering others with your own convictions and trying to manipulate them and into believing your point of view of seeing things without the proper reasoning. So a smart Scorpio moon, or a wise one I should say, will try to use reasoning or logic to convince others instead of their emotional power by itself. And just hopefully you guys get what I'm saying, but essentially you always got to justify yourself before you try to convince others of believing something, because or else you may be convincing them of believing something that's false, that is just based on your way of seeing things. And then that's what creates psychologically complex situations, and that's what Scorpio is all about. And this can create self-destructive moments. So anyway, the point being is they have a lot of power. All of them have this ability to gaslight others, but they may not use it, and generally speaking they are emotionally convinced. Now when it's in the 5th house and the moon is in Scorpio, this shows somebody that has a need to be needed, because the natural sign that has the 5th house in Scorpio is Cancer. Cancer is the provider or the nurturing figure, the mother, and they have the 5th house in Scorpio because their ego, which is the 5th house meaning, is relating around being needed. So when it comes to a mother in general, what astrology is teaching us is that mother, or like mother archetype people, their ego comes from being needed. So this makes a lot of sense. But generally speaking, when you have the moon here in the 5th house in Scorpio, you have an aspect of needing to be needed. And this could have actually been an aspect of your upbringing or your parent figures, or like one of your parent figures, especially the nurturing figure or the mother. She could have had this need to be needed, and it could have been a toxic or unideal way of approaching that. So she could have manipulative tendencies from what is essentially just this need to be needed. And this relationship that you had to the nurturing figure expressed itself in a deep water sign way, because Scorpio is a water sign, and water signs are messy, when it comes to the expression. It's non-organized, and it is influential, but in subtle ways. So like your mother or your nurturing figure could have had a controlling tendency about herself, because she subconsciously needed to be needed, and she could have made it feel like you're the one that needed her, and it's not her or whoever was the nurturing figure. It's not them that's actually being needed, it's you. So with that being said, that's what the expression of that is. Now, of course, water signs are messy, so this could have created complications in your upbringing. And furthermore, the fifth house is about a need for validation. So in your adult form, like, you could also have this unfulfilled ego, or like this feeling that you need to still acquire more validation. So with that being said, how this can manifest too is, since the fifth house is about ego and validation, right, and Scorpio is about unfulfilled needs, and you have the moon here, you could essentially also have a way of relating to others that is not ideal, and where you manifest situations where you also do not feel validated. So you create situations of needing to be needed or needed to be validated, and you carry it out in manipulative ways, because that's how you learned that one is supposed to fulfill their ego or their needs. So anyways, hopefully that made sense and I wasn't too scattered. And with that being said, that basically summarizes this placement and what I wanted to talk about for this video. So I hope that this was insightful and that it resonated. If it did resonate, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more content. If you would like a personalized natal chart reading where I go over each of your placements in a personalized video, then check the link in the description to my Patreon, where I do a free natal chart reading for each of my Jupiter tier patrons. And for my most basic tier, I also offer a 50% discount off natal chart readings, which is the moon tier. I also have an email in the description if you'd like to contact me that way and book a reading. And yeah, so with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching and supporting in any way that you do. And I will talk to you guys sometime soon in another video. Thanks for watching.